Cut a passage.
Put this into 6.
If all angles in a triangle...
In May 2007, we filmed the lives of 4 Year 8 pupils at Hove Park Secondary School near Brighton. Robert, Louise, Bradley and Jack. The 4 documentaries can be seen on the Teachers TV website.
Today was different.
We asked a number of leading practitioners to watch the films and give us their frank opinions about the issues raised by this unique insight into the learning experience. This programme focuses on the importance of taking into account pupils' needs and views. Jack is short-sighted, and this is raised during a parents' review evening.
Jack wears glasses, and if you're sitting anywhere near the back, you won't be able to see anyway. So you're not aware of that.
You could have just said that you couldn't see the board, couldn't you?
If you can't see the board if he doesn't have his glasses, there's no point him sitting at the back, is there? He's not going to learn anything.
Yeah. I would say that really a lot of the responsibility is on Jack's shoulders. You know, he needs to shape up a bit. And at the risk of sounding like this kind of boorish, middle-aged, old traditionalist, you know, his attitude to school is wrong. Where he's got that attitude, I don't know. School could do quite a few things in terms of giving him a little bit of discipline.
He wouldn't go to the cinema without his glasses. If you really wanted to watch a film and thought, yeah, I've waited for weeks to go and see James Bond, I love James Bond, he wasn't going to sit at the back without his glasses on and say, well, yeah, it was pointless, I couldn't see what was going on. You know, he would definitely remember his glasses because he wouldn't want to miss a thing.
A regular polygon is one where all the sides and the angles are the same length, OK? So if you look at...
Not wearing his glasses, you could just say, well, why would anyone not do that? Is it to look cool? I don't think so. I think Jack's quite cool enough as it is. I think it was an issue to actually try to generate the fact that there's certain areas where he doesn't feel comfortable and doesn't feel he's making the progress he should be making.
You should never have to wait a year for a parents' evening to discuss his spectacles. But the parents' responsibility for making sure he had his glasses and that they weren't broken, his for wearing them, and the schools for making sure that every teacher knew Jack wore glasses and he should be sitting in the room. And a very simple way of doing that is for every teacher to have a photo of every pupil as their register, and then you would look at your photo of Jack and say, oh, Jack wears glasses. Jack, where are your glasses?
Identify to the student what they're doing. Saying, interesting, Jack, you're coming to my lessons, sitting at the back and not wearing your glasses. That is a strange thing to do. Now, once they kind of realise this, rather than saying, why don't you bring... Just identifying what they're doing and then saying, that's a strange thing to do. You've already flagged up to them what's kind of going on. That's when the dialogue can begin.
The glasses are really just an example of how they weren't communicating over Jack's education, his progress, what was involving him, what was turning him on and off in school generally. But they could have used that as a way in to say, oh, you know, I should have known about his wearing glasses. What else should I know about Jack?
I think the missing element is that the discussion is directed at the parents often in these sessions, and it's led by teachers.
Cheers. Thank you.
And it's almost like adults are doing education to that child rather than the child's having an involvement in it and having a say in it. So if there's one thing that's missing in the standard review evenings, it's this genuine consultation and voice of students. We saw hints at it in the clips in terms of students being asked questions about did they have any questions they'd like to ask about a subject. But I'd like to extend it beyond questions to them leading discussions.
I've been moved to the front in maths because of my glasses. My mum came in and told so I wore glasses, and apparently because I didn't know. He just moved me to the front finally so I can see the board properly.
No. How much longer does Jack have to show through other means his boredom, his disengagement, the lack of relevance to his life of what he's doing? He's telling us all the things, just not overtly in words. And maybe, you know, we're not asking him the right questions.
Where is everybody this afternoon? Well, no Fraser. OK, Louise, it's almost past, and you're just swanning into the lesson now. Where have you been?
Sorry.
You make up to me after school?
I was on the field, I just...
Oh, the bell goes. You need to be here for the second bell.
Louise shouldn't have been late. That needs to be made clear. But the more important thing is that she gets on now with the lesson.
Girls, why are you so late for my lesson? Right, you'll make it up after school.
I don't think you need to start making issues which are then going to interrupt further the learning that's already been interrupted by Louise's lateness. But it's such a temptation for teachers, and we all do it.
Again, would you be late for a favourite film? Would you be late for the opening of a concert you really wanted to go to? What is it about science that doesn't get her in on time?
Our set don't really know how much the top set are ahead of us, and I think that the teachers try and understand that we need to learn more.
Louise knows exactly what's going wrong, and her voice does need to be heard.
Okay, what does Greenpeace do? Those of you with your hands up. Yeah.
Like a party, like Labour or something.
Maybe there should be a slightly more dialectical relationship between teachers and pupils. If Louise felt that she had a voice, then the lessons would be better.
You make up your mind. Wrong. Wrong. Well done. Sashimi. Sashimi. Right, today's featured pulses are the soybean and the mung bean.
Why do we have to do pulses? That's so boring.
Pulses is the theme of Year 8.
Why can't we make bread? Or cake?
That question's meaningless, in my opinion. Why can't you be quiet?
Maybe we don't want to.
You've opened up, you know, some kind of engagement and interaction with the students, and then you suddenly close it down. And then, of course, the students are resentful, so then they call out why. Why? You know, why can't we do cookery, or why can't we bake cakes? Why can't we? If you just have certain conversations that twist things to learning, you're actually going to create better learning relationships and results in the long run with those students. If you actually just briefly say, OK, let's throw it back to you. What do you think? You know, we need to move on to this, but I'm going to give you 2 minutes, yeah, with the person next to you, OK? And then I'm going to take some feedback.
And I think that Year 9 is going to be too hard, and I won't be able to do hardly any of the work because I think it's going to be too hard for me, not just for me, for loads of other people in there that are struggling in Year 8, and they're going to find Year 9 even harder. So I am going to struggle.
He's a bit like a soldier being sent into battle who's not sure how his gun works, or bits of his kit are missing. And what Rob would love to do, I think, is have an audit of his skills.
From the one man.
See what's missing, give a clear idea of what he has to do to improve those skills so that he has the full sort of toolbox to take with him into Year 9, and also know what's expected from Year 9. He's possibly dreading it or in trepidation of it far more than he needs to be.
What type of food? Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, well remembered. Sticker for Jack.
You get 3 merits and it equals a commendation in your planner, and when you get them nowadays, no one really cares about them because they're not that important to us anymore. I think all the children think that stickers and commendations are a bit babyish, and maybe they feel a bit embarrassed when they get one.
Ollie. Minerals, nice sticker for Ollie. Well done.
Bribes don't work, but if you do it as a fun idea, then they buy into it. I watched one of the most powerful lessons ever of a Spanish teacher. At the end of the lesson, they had a vote to find out who was El Bof del Deo, Boff of the Day. El Bof del Deo, when nominated, was allowed to come to the front and choose a lolly out of the lolly jar. The boy who won it must have been about 6'4", just enormous. I've never seen him look so chuffed that he got to be El Bof del Deo and got a lolly out of the lolly jar. So just make it fun, make it light, and they buy into it.
Well, those questions are on the board. I'll bring your attention to one main question I want you to think about. How do the sounds in the poem, help you imagine what is happening in the poem? All right, so how do the sounds help you imagine what's happening in the poem?
The reason why sometimes I don't like writing is because it's got just too much description in some of the words that I don't know. There's no point me listening to because certain never tells you what it's like or describes the word or tells you the meaning of it.
OK, nice loud voice, Jack.
Is there anybody there, said the traveller, knocking on the moonlight door. And his horse in the silence chomped the grasses of the forest's ferny floor.
The content of the poem isn't immediately engaging, so they're not going to. It's not about Manchester United, so it wouldn't immediately have Bradley's attention. So you've got to find, and you don't have to make it about. It doesn't mean all you do is poems about Manchester United. You can do Walter de la Mare, but you have to lead Bradley into it.
If you spend all your time only doing stuff that's relevant to their lives, it would just be one grinding urban poem after another. There's nothing wrong with taking children to those places if they can be taken on that journey that the person who wrote the poem went on themselves, and to understand what the person was trying to do, what they were trying to say, research about that person's life, understand what it would be like to travel by horse.
His horse in the silence chomped the grasses of the forest's ferny floor.
Descriptions there that were very difficult to get hold of. If you don't know that a ferny floor is a floor on the forest that happens to be composed of ferns, you may be wondering, what on earth's a ferny floor? It can just be as simple as picking out the language and giving children a visual illustration.
When I like it, it's because I know what I'm doing and I like the work. Sometimes I don't like it, it's because it's really hard work, it's too much to write and I don't really get it.
If you put it into their world, where in Hove could you have set this poem? How would it have worked? Where is there a piece of forest round here? Make it into... It's all about being in their world, that sense of empathy. So if they can then pick... Can you think of a house that would be a suitable house in which to send a story in which you call and there are phantoms living there? Would it be in the middle of a housing estate, or would it actually be a house out by itself? Can you tell me on the map where that place would be?
Has a special digestive system for breaking down toxins and leaves.
Didn't understand anything. I didn't understand anything, and yeah, I did ask for a lot of help.
I would like 5 minutes with the teacher to help me spend some time spelling.
You just feel a bit stupid because you get it wrong. It doesn't really matter, but
most of the time, teacher doesn't really pay any attention to me.
Well, the biggest frustration I think teenage children have is a sense of, yeah, I talk, people listen, but they don't do anything about it, so I'm not really being heard.
They have to know that what they say and what they think is of some value, and it may not always be acted on, and we may not always do what they want, but they will at least have had the opportunity to say it. And then I think pupils are in a much stronger position to think, well, in this school, in this lesson, in this class, my views are valued, what I think is important. I need to make sure I've got some views worth expressing.
It's a structured way of gathering feedback from children, learners, about how that learning experience was, what it was like for them and how it can be made better. Because a lot of research has been done, even with very young children in primary schools through to secondary schools, to show that they are consistently able to talk about learning in sophisticated ways.
The voice of learners has got to be heard because they know whether something's turning them off or whether they're disengaged. And if you ignore the fact that they're disengaged, they'll turn off of education full stop.